I just want to show you there are so many things you can do on your calculator that you will not have been taught at school. This is a great example, this question, of how you can just use your calculator to get the answers. In an exam, you might get to a question like this. It's a 3-mark question, and your calculator can literally tell you the answer. I'm going to show you how to do it. So you go to menu here. You go down until you get to this function called equation slash func, and func here stands for function, nothing too funky. And one is simultaneous equation. This is polynomial. Polynomials when you have a quadratic. I'll get to that later. One is simultaneous equations. Watch this. If you don't know this, this is going to blow your mind. Number of unknowns. Now, if for your GCSE paper, the answer to this is always going to be 2. Okay, you don't really need to think about that. Unknowns basically means the number of letters. You've got an X and you've got a Y, and you don't know what they are, so they're unknown. So you hit 2 there. And do you see this, right? I don't know if this is blowing people's minds. You can just type this straight in and it tells you the answer. So 3x, I'm going to put 3, and then I'm going to hit equals. And the black box slides over. Now I need to put the coefficient of the Y. Coefficient is basically the number in front of the Y. And do you see here, there's no number in front of the Y. There's nothing there. So this is the only annoying thing about this method, is that you have to insert a 1. A 1 means I've got 1 Y there. And I hit equals. And over there, I've got -4. So I'm going to go -4 equals. Now it slides down there. I'm literally just chucking these numbers in, right? Oh, sorry, I hit 33. 3. Then -4 is the next one. You need to make sure you put that minus sign in. So it's -4, bang. And over there is 6. 6, bang. Watch this. Now I hit equals again. There's the answer, right? Now, I'm not saying this isn't the whole question finished, right? But x equals -2/3. So what I would do in an exam is come down here and write x equals -2/3. And then if I hit equals again, it tells me what y is. Y equals -2. So y equals -2. Now, that is not the question complete. This is what I mean by exam technique, okay? You have to now go and show some work. But the idea that you know what the answer is just means you're not going to make any silly mistakes on this question. It's so powerful. So now I'm going to show you the working. So if you don't have the other calculator, this is how I would do this question. Now, there's 2 ways to do simultaneous equations. There's this thing they teach you at school, which is you've got to line up the coefficients. And you might notice here that these are already 3 and 3. So the way they teach you to do this at school is to now add or subtract both equations. And because both signs are the same, you subtract. So you subtract, then the 3x and 3x cancel each other out. However, I want to show you that's kind of option 1. I want to show you option 2, which is my preferred way of doing simultaneous equations, which is if you ever see a letter which is by itself, so it could either be the x or the y, what you want to do is get that letter completely by itself. So what I mean is you want to rearrange that top equation so it's y equals. And what that involves is taking the 3x and like moving it to the other side. It's plus 3x. And when you chuck it across to the other side, it becomes minus. I'm not going to go deep into this, into how to rearrange equations. I'm just going to show you. So what you would be left with here is minus 3x. And underneath you've got 3x -4y equals 6. And the reason you do this, and the reason I want to get you guys really good at doing this technique, is this is called substitution. What I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute this y for this thing. Like, the reason is that y is the same as this thing. And so you can swap them out. You can swap one out for the other, okay? What I'm going to do is, instead of writing y, I'm just going to write this thing in there. Okay, equals 6. Now, you might prefer this other method here. I'm not going to show you that now. I'm just going to show you this method because the reason why this method is good is that it helps you for the really difficult questions where one of these things is a quadratic, like if this was a square or something like that. This is the real level 8, level 9 stuff, but this technique is just really, really helpful. Here, you've just got to kind of be careful, and you're expanding -4 out over this bracket, which is a bit annoying. You're going to have a minus times a minus is a plus. -4 times -3x, you're going to have plus 12x equals 6. Now you collect like terms, so 3x and 12x is 15x plus 16 equals 6. Now you're going to subtract the 16 from both sides. 6 minus 16, I mean, do it on your calculator. I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I know what that is, but just what's the point, you know? Oh, wait, sorry, menu, go back here. 6 minus 16, honestly, there's no shame in doing this. There's no shame in doing this. And then you divide by the 15. So you basically, whenever you have something like this, you take the 15 and you just slide it underneath the -10. But, you know, just slide it underneath. And again, you would punch this into your calculator, -10 over 15. But we already know the answer is -2/3. So you would check that this was right. And if this wasn't right, if you ended up with something else, you know that you've made a mistake. And so you go back and double check your working. So what I'm doing here, I'm not guaranteeing every single time you're going to get full marks on a question like this, okay? It's just, you know what you're aiming for. And then you go back and you find the y. This is the other reason why this method is amazing, is that you've already got y written here. Y equals -4 minus 3. And then whatever your answer for x was, here it was -2/3, I'm going to just stick it up in there. And even if you, like, let's even say your algebra is bad and your numbers are bad, you just don't know how to do this, just leave it and just write the answer there, and then you're going to get full marks. Realistically, you should go and work this out. Punch that into your calculator and we can double check it. So in an exam, sorry, if you just hit minus, it sometimes says answer minus. So you hit AC, hit minus again, -4 minus 3 times, I always like to use a bracket instead of a times. And now I've got minus fraction 2/3. Then I hit the right button, then I hit close brackets. This again is exam technique. Don't try and do all this in your head. You're just going to be, it's just so annoying. You just hit equals here, bang. The answer is -2. So we say equals -2. I mean, okay, realistically, probably, sorry, I should, in an exam, I probably would have written this down here, something. And look, I've got it. So I know that this was supposed to be -2. I got it. And this is there. So I know I've got this 100% correct. And if you didn't have this coming out right, you would know you would have made a mistake somewhere. And when you know you've made a mistake, it's so much easier to go and find it. You go back. Double minus is probably, maybe you put -12x here because you forgot minus times a minus. So go back, try and tweak it. Does that help me? Well, that, just keep that, figuring it out until you get the answer that you got at the end, and then you will get 3 marks for free. The second method is to make sure that these two numbers line up and then subtract the two things. So basically, you've got the first equation minus the second one. These two cancel out. You have y minus -4y equals -4 minus 6. You can do this on your calculator or just be, double minus is a plus, so y plus 4y, this is 5y, and -4 minus 6 is -10. Then you divide by 5, y equals -2. And that's what we got there. So I'm not spending ages on that just because this is something you guys need to go and learn probably, but this is the other method. You might think that's easier, but it's only because these were given to you originally as both 3x. When they're not both given as 3x, this method, I know from experience that this method, people make more silly mistakes than this method. The question was, if these two numbers are not the same, what do you do? So if this was a 2. Well, this is why I recommend you should do this technique where you just get the y by itself, because that's still the same. If you really want to use this technique where you try and get the coefficients the same, you have to times everything so that they are. So here you would times everything by 3 and times this bottom one by 2, because then both of these would end up being 6x. And then you can do that thing where you subtract them and they cancel each other out.